Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, I've got a few questions from young men about masculinity. And really, the question, when you get down to the root of it, it's what is it? Because we don't know anymore. And it's funny because there is no checklist, it's not a skill set, you know? Running a chainsaw, being able to change your own oil, and shooting a gun doesn't make you masculine. It's not what it is. These questions were prompted by the videos that came out around the time of that Gillette ad. And around that same time, there was a meme floating around on Facebook that had my picture next to Ben Shapiro's because he was whining about how poorly men are treated. I had a quote from each of us, and the caption said, who would you trust to explain masculinity to you? Something to that effect. The best response I saw was a guy who said, if either one of these guys gets to determine your masculinity, you're not. I liked that. I like that. Masculinity is not a team sport. It's very individualized. I know that doesn't answer the question. So I'm going to tell you 3 masculine role models that I have. The first, he started his career off as a police chief. And he used to go undercover, dressed like a poor citizen, and try to catch his cops doing something wrong, being corrupt, taking a bribe, taking advantage of people, whatever. And if he did, well, he'd beat him up and fire him. One legend says he beat the guy up, stripped him naked, threw him in a dumpster, and then fired him. Later on, he was working in the Secretary of the Navy's office, and he kind of started a war. But rather than sitting in the comfort and safety of that office, he went and fought on the front lines. Got the Medal of Honor for it later. He was going to give a speech. Would-be assassin walked up, shot him in the chest. He gave the speech, bullet in his chest. He was a huge conservationist, an explorer. He was a feminist. When he was president, he had a boxing ring installed at the White House. Was almost blinded in a fight. He was the first president to invite a black man to come have dinner at the White House. Won the Nobel Peace Prize back when it actually mattered. That was Teddy Roosevelt. Definitely the pinnacle of American masculinity when it comes to the individualism and the desire to uplift those who are downtrodden and the willingness to put his own rear on the line when it mattered. Another guy looked up to, a little bit different. He was a sergeant during World War II in France and Africa. After the war, he came back to his little small town. His wife died. He became sheriff. Spent most of his time looking after his boy. And he was unique because, well, Hollywood was going to make a movie about him. They're going to call the movie The Sheriff Without a Gun or something along those lines because he didn't carry one. I mean, he had one in his car, but he didn't walk around with one. He was very active in his community. And he tried to solve problems by humanizing the two opposing parties in each other's eyes. He used some very unique conflict resolution. That was Sheriff Andy Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show. Not what you would think of as a tough guy, but definitely a masculine figure. that wholesome masculine. Now, on the other end of things, John F. Kennedy, always looked up to him. Same principles, though. He did put his rear on the line, but at the same time, he was trying to uplift. As president, he was trying to free the oppressed. Took a lot of vision for some of the things that he proposed, some of the things he was actually able to accomplish. And to be honest, I always kind of had a crush on Jackie and Marilyn, so, he had that going for him too. 3 very, very different people, all very masculine. It's not a checklist. There is no guidebook for it. It's you. The constants are that you're not trying to use your natural aggressiveness to subjugate others. You're trying to lift them up. Today, a lot of those who talk about masculinity, they want to keep others down. Real masculinity doesn't care, because real masculinity likes a challenge. If you help them get up and they're better than you, well, that just means you have to get better. And that's what it's about. It's not about subjugating other people. It's about improving yourself. Masculinity isn't a trait, it's a journey. I know that's not really an answer to the questions, but there may not be one. Masculinity is something you're going to define for yourself. What matters to you? That's what's going to matter. Anybody else's opinion of it is irrelevant. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.